It all started back in February with the 6 hours of Bathurst. We've since had 5 further endurance races throughout the year that have led us here to the championship decider final race of the season. It is of course the AUSNZ PS5 Endurance Series, and we're here for the round 7, the 4 hours of Coda. With this weekend's action proudly brought to you by ENZED Superstoch Teams Champs. With a 4-hour race at the Circuit of Americas, we're going to see strategy, we're going to see pit stops, we're going to see high-speed action at the end of it all, we're going to crown a new champion. I'm your host Matt Smith, aka Monkey Matt from Tracksport.tv. I'll be with you throughout today's action, and I'm joined once again by a man with loads of real-world motorsport experience, as well as plenty of experience in the commentary booth. It's Mike Howe from Hooncorp Esports. Welcome to race day, Mike.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Matt. Hey, look, it is exciting, isn't it? I mean, crikey, we've been counting this one down for an awful long time, and I am really, really on the edge of my seat after Friday night's qualifying. That was just massive. We've just, set ourselves a very, very high bar as we see the cars going out onto the track for a practice race here. But Matt, it's too close to call. I mean, we've got 3 wonderful classes. We've got the Pro-Am and the Am classes all fighting it out at the moment. Anyone can still, well, not anyone, but a lot of people are still in with a chance to really shine. And then we start to think about what the next 4 hours are going to look like. I'll tell you, it's very, very exciting for sim racing, and I've said this so many times that my eyes are well and truly open now. You know, I'm looking forward to this one. I hope you are, and I certainly hope those that are tuning in around New Zealand and around the rest of the world are as well.
It's certainly an exciting prospect. 4 hours is a long time, and the tension couldn't be higher with the championship on the line, as you were saying there, across the 3 divisions as well. It's going to be a lot of fun. This is the picture. These are the 2 teams that are going head-to-head today. This is the main battle to be focused on. BSR1 coming in, leading the championship at the moment. They had 3 wins in a row in the middle of the season there. It's been a mega drive from those 2. Jeesh and Captain Muffin in the car again tonight, and then hunting them down. They started the season with a bang, winning at Bathurst, winning at IndyCar, and then last time out at Spa, they also claimed the win in a dramatic finish to that race as well, ahead of BSR. It is, of course, ANC outplayed Twitchy and Matt McEwen. They also have 3 wins across the season, so really equal footing between these 2 teams. It's going to be hard to call, and that is going to be the battle with only 36 points between them coming into the final round. We've also, of course, got the Pro-Am battle. TTR Westside leading that one ahead of Hooncorp 1. And they're down in 5th and 6th overall. So I should say up in 5th and 6th overall, leading the Pro-Am division. There's only 26 points between them, 24 points between them. In fact, if I get my maths correct. And that's only a couple of positions in the race. So that's going to be a big fight that we keep watching in this one. And then the Am class as well. TTR Eastside versus Hooncorp 2, leading those divisions at the moment, and it's all 3 championships coming down to the final rounds. Under the pressure of the top 10 shootout, it is the championship leader who stepped up, Jeesh with the BSR1. They will be starting on pole with a 205.437, fastest lap of the night, produced in the top 10 shootout. It was huge. It was exciting to watch. It was an impressive lap, that's for sure, and he's nearly a second quicker than his championship rival, Twitchy there, lining up in 3rd. So that is really a statement coming into this race, but the cars are now out on their formation lap, so we will jump over there and take a look at the variety of different manufacturers we've got actually at the pointy end of this race.
Right. Also, just had a word from Bruce Robertson very quickly about the NZ, of course, our sponsor, the NZ Superstoch teams, and he's saying there are still some tickets available from Event Finder, the general admission ones, not the flash ones. Also, the live stream is going to be available on the 7th and 8th of February. So again, I want to say a big thanks to NZ Superstoch Teams Nationals, which is the big event down there in Palmerston North. He's literally landed there from being at Waikaika Park last night, and I've asked him, how do people get in touch? How do they get the tickets? And he said there are still some GA tickets there from Event Finder. So I was not aware of that, to be honest with you. I thought that all sold out. So that's great news.
Absolutely right. That's going to be a big weekend of motorsport in February. Make sure you get along. Superstoch Teams Champs. One of the stories as they are on the out lap now, just warming up those tires before we get rolling. We've got about half a lap to go before they cross the start line for the 4 hours of COTA. One of the stories I want to touch on before we get to that is actually Al Dusty. That mega qualifying session to put himself in P2. One of the Pro-Am Division drivers. It has been a huge story and it has been a huge celebration of that result as well. He's got a lot of fans who were cheering him on the night to try and get up there. And it's exciting to see that he was able to pull it off. But it was made even more dramatic when you look what happened exactly 1 year ago. Friday night, December the 5th was qualifying night. Exactly 1 year before that, December the 5th, 2024, Max was actually in a huge car accident. So that's Al Dusty. He was in a huge car accident and broke 6 bones in his spine. He was in critical condition in hospital, not in a good state at all. So he's been on a big recovery journey since then, getting back behind the wheel, sort of learning to get his body back up to speed behind the wheel, and also in the sim rig as well. Been following along with that, and exactly 1 year later, he's out there performing at the top level, racing against guys that have competed internationally in sim racing and holding his own to be second on the grid. So that has been just a hugely inspiring story to see him to be able to do that. He's here tonight starting in second, and he set himself a big challenge to be trying to do the whole race solo as well. So you can see him now. All the mind games has begun as we're about to get underway. Jeesh gets to lead them, but Dusty just poking his nose ahead as they head through the final corner. And now the 4 hours of COTA, we wait for the moment where Jeesh is going to get them underway. He controls the field heading towards the line. The countdown will be on. They'll be looking at the cars around them, trying to pick their moment as there's double file down the front straight at COTA. What is everyone going to do? Into the first corner, into Big Red. It's throwing up drama in plenty of other categories. Will we see drama here today as the lights go green and we are racing here in the AUSNZ Grand Final race? Who's down the inside? None other than Twitchy. We asked if he was going to send it. He has sent it. Dusty's on the outside, getting a little bit wide. And I think Jeesh has lost positions in the mix. We're still 3 wide. BCG1 in the Porsche wants to get amongst it as well. Oh, they just end up edged out by Jeesh there. Jeesh wants to get back through. He does, ahead of Jeesh. And look at that. The Porsche slots back into 4th position. But Dream Start out in front. In fact, I might have got a little bit wrong. No, the leaderboard still needs to be updated. It is in fact Twitchy out in front in the Mercedes, getting the jump on the championship rival Jeesh, but it is the 2 contenders in the front 2 positions, and not too much drama. They get through there cleanly. 37 actually has been caught out in the mid pack, so they've dropped down to the back, but the front drivers all through the first section clean. But what a move from Twitchy into the first corner. He went down the inside. I think they made it 3 wide on entry, but that's one of the beautiful things about the first corner at this track, is they do have so much track width to play with, and that always throws up a spicy turn 1. Credit to them to getting through there clean, and now it settles down a little bit as the front 3 start to open up a bit of a gap ahead of Mint Matt in the Porsche, who was just doing a little bit of a defending there. There is just a couple of car lengths between them at the moment, so we might be all right. He's got his team, so there's bragging rights on the line. Teammates in BCG2 in behind him with Noodles behind the wheel, back in the McLaren, the car they're famous for driving, and you know they'll be hoping to pull home a big result. But at the moment, it is the championship contenders, Twitchy and Jeesh out in front. They've managed to win every race so far this season between them, and it looks like it could be set unless Dusty, who is still lurking, unless Dusty can get amongst it.
Yeah, it's very possible, but I think also a dark horse. Let's not take our eyes off the 1 car there, which is Matt driving that at the moment, and of course his 2IC is Cy Bishop, Side Dog, and we know how good he is. The kid, defending champions at the moment. They've played a very patient game, and they've got a lot of work to do. There's no doubt about that. But currently in 4th place, that Porsche. So it's certainly up for them to try and at least keep these front-running cars in sight, and a new car to them this round, as we've mentioned before, coming out of the BMW into the Porsche. So I just know these guys don't do things without a jolly good reason. So it's not any sort of mind games or playing any games. There's no doubt about that. It's certainly a serious matter, and they've taken a big, I would say, a leap of faith. But again, they would have done a huge amount there. So going to the front of the field, though, Twitchy and the Mercedes-Benz actually pulled off a second now. Between himself and Jeesh, and that's quite significant. So I've just had a text sent through. It's a very, very smart decision there as well, that said don't forget that the NZ Superstoch Teams Champs tickets would make a good Christmas present for those that have never been to Superstoch Teams in February. So that's a very good point, and a good friend of mine who's just passed that on. Thank you very much for that. We actually talked about that last night at Waikaraka Park, and if you are looking for the ultimate gift there for your spouse, significant other, brother, sister, cousin, or whatever, and they've never been to Superstoch teams in Palmerston North. And thanks to NZ for getting behind the NZ Superstoch teams, getting behind the AUSNZ series here. And if you're looking for some tickets on Event Finder, you can grab those tickets, and there are still some left, which has only just been made available to me in the last 10 minutes. So in the meantime, getting to the front of the field, 4 laps into this one already, Matt, really starting to clear it out. I like we've got a diverse range of manufacturers as well. We've got Mercedes, Aston, Nissan, Porsche, McLaren, BMW, Ford, Ferrari. We couldn't have scripted it to be so different. It's absolutely brilliant, and that's the beauty of this GT3 concept, isn't it? That all cars have a chance with balance of performance.
Absolutely right. Yeah, you touch on it there. We do balance these cars out per track as well. So it gets real specific in terms of how even we try and make them. And that's the beauty of it. We do see quite a variation out on the field. Did we count? Is it not 8 different manufacturers in the top 8 at the moment? That's incredible.
Yeah, it is. 8 out of 8. The lead has just about changed if you jump back on board there. And we actually saw an overbreak there from Twitchy down the end of the long back straight. And he actually put himself off, may have violated track limits. But now we're starting to see these two scrap. I thought we were probably another hour away before the clouds were really going to start closing in on these two. But now we're not quite seeing thunder and lightning. But by crikey, the rain is starting to pour as far as the amount of energy these two are putting on. And that's great driving. It's an analogy. It's not a fact as far as track conditions. But I thought they were going to sit back and slowly pull away. They had the better part of 4.5 second lead on our Dusty. I'm just not sure how long that's going to be the case, because they are now starting, in fact Twitchy is now starting to defend quite heavily, and for the first time in this race, you know, we've been going for 13 laps or 12 laps without any problems, and now Geesh all of a sudden has said, you know what, I want to pick up the pace, and the gap back to third place, look at it, it's not 4.5 seconds anymore, it's 3 seconds. So our Dusty and the Nissan has actually just gained 1.5 seconds on these two, because all of a sudden Geesh has either Twitchy slowed down, which I very much doubt, or Geesh has said, you know what, okay guys, it's time to push the button. And down the end of that straight, it was an absolute last of the late breakers here. He strode to nose twice, and then obviously the defence there from Twitchy said, I'm just not going to let you go past, son. It's not going to happen. Whereas I think if the shoe was on the other foot, Geesh would have probably let the Mercedes go. But in this case, Twitchy said, no, not going to happen. And that 3 seconds for third place, it's now 2.6 seconds, Matt. Boy, we're just starting to see a little bit of rumble on the brown stuff here at Circuit of the Americas.
Well, it was looking calm and peaceful for so long, wasn't it? We're approaching the half-hour mark at this point, and suddenly Geesh said, now's the time, try and pounce, and maybe just try and catch Twitchy just a little bit unawares. But, you know, we was maybe thinking it was going to continue to be comfortable and calm, and Geesh just went for it, trying to make the most of what seems like a little bit of a pace advantage at this phase in the race. Look how wide Twitchy's going on the entrance there. It's got to look so inviting for the car behind. Geesh is going to be seeing all that space down the inside. And no wonder he went for a big send. You know, when you're looking at that gap, it's like, oh, that's the lead of the race. Try and go for it here. But now, still tucked in behind. Twitchy has been defending hard. Kind of just waiting. Is there going to be another big move? Is there going to be another opportunity? Or is Geesh just going to be a little bit more patient? Still close enough that he's a threat for any of these corners. Try and do something bold. Well, where can they line up and move? Look how close they are through the sweeping right-handers. Is it going to be into the last corner? Are they going to be close enough here? Out of turn 19, through the left-hand to try and get a run, and it's just opened up a little bit. So Twitchy doing the job at the moment. And looking at this battle here, because Hooncorp 1 has actually caught up. This is what you were talking about. They've caught up to the pack. So after starting in pit lane, now in 17th, and they've got 2 cars close in front of them. TTR Southside ahead, and then AGT4 ahead of that. So still got pace here in the Aston Martin. Whether they can use it to try and gain a few more places back in this battle. Their championship rivals, of course, TTR West in 6th. So a tough order to try and get up there, but they certainly want to gain all the positions they can, as now there's going to be a battle, and it looks like a little bit of damage on the front of that Nissan. As down the inside comes TTR Southside, Mickey T in the car, and gets the position done. BMW ahead of Nissan, and that Nissan is looking a little bit second-hand. I'm looking at the scrapes on the back of the car as well, as they get close now through the midfield section.
Well, that's one of those things too, is that when we see damage on a car, it means it's got more than just panel damage. It's actually got probably, mechanical damage, that they may be just limping that car through to the first 1 hour, 20-minute stint to address it. So hopefully it's still a drivable car for them. But if there is a pass just being made, obviously it's, well done to Mickey T for being able to capitalise on that. And again, the Ikatosh in the 37, I thought Smitty was going to start the race. So they're obviously a bit of a driver change. That might be why they've started from the pits, if there was a last-minute driver change or something like that. Maybe a problem with Smitty's computer. Hopefully he hasn't gone out of the thing altogether and hadn't had the ultimate sim races nightmare. But nonetheless, a good job there from Ikatosh, who's he'll be fighting, he'll be scrapping, and like you said, well, they've got the TTR West boys to come and take on, and never say never, never say die. So that's a good sim races attitude. There's always a way to get the car back on the track, and hopefully we can see these guys do just that. But yeah, a little bit hard there for Ikatosh too, of course, because Isaac Fogg were going through and doing that driver's drive-through, because that doesn't actually classify as one of his mandatory pit stops. Not that it's going to be a problem with the hour 20 and that with here at Kota, where you have to do a minimum of 2. It's always going to be the thing, but he's still got to go through and do his pit stops anyway. But working together is a very good of course, they realise that. And now they're going to have lap traffic coming in their way as well, because it looks like the 2 car there of Isaac Fogg, after those earlier problems, is going to come through and be the first, or going to be the first car lapped by the race leader. So they'll be getting the blue flag. They've been reminded of their obligations to not hold up the race leaders coming through. And unfortunately, that's certainly going to hinder them. It's a long, long way in this race at Kota to actually come from a start in the pits like the 37 car, but it's even more so to really flourish when you're going to be a lap down. Having said that, it won't stop them, it'll define them, and I think that these guys will still be there right at the end. I can see the blue flags, we can all see the blue flags waving, but as you pointed out, it's not actually a pass for position in this one. In fact, the 2 car gets right out of the way. Well done to Isaac Fogg, that's outstanding stuff there. That's exactly what his obligations here, is to not impede those 2 cars. He'll jump back on there, and not too far behind him is actually the 75 car there as well. So obviously with some problems, but no, good on him, and a good job. In fact, the 75 car there is the 3rd place car of Al Dusty, so will be the next car to catch up to the back end of car number 2. So right around the field though, it is pretty much spread out. Then another drive through the 787 car there, the Aston, I think, just yet to actually fulfill that. I thought it would have been in the pits by now, so not sure what's going on.
I believe you have 3 laps. You have to serve the penalty within 3 laps, so they've decided not to do it on the first occasion, and they might just, well, they're going to have to come in on one of the next ones, so I'm not sure that it sort of helps or hinders them either way when they come in, but they are going to have to serve that penalty, as this battle at the front remains the closest battle in the race at the moment. And we're just going to watch again as now Geesh just shows the nose down the inside in the braking zone, and again is really close with that wide line, straight exit onto the straight. This could be another chance to try and go for the move down into turn 12. Sorry, I think I got that number wrong on the previous battle, but turn 12, this big braking zone. Are we going to see that defense from the Mercedes? We are. Twitchy defends the inside. How hard is he going to do it? He holds right up to the inside. He's going to pick up lots of marbles on the tires. We could see it on the track, just how much that was affecting that outside line. As the crossback now comes from Geesh, he's going to have the outside again for the right-hander. It's tough to do it around there. They're hard on the brakes again, and it is going to be Twitchy defending the line. It's still close. Oh, he has to keep it tight through the left-hander. That's where we've seen Carlos Sainz go for a bit of a send that ends up taking out both cars, and Twitchy's wise to it, defends the inside through the left-hander. No room for Geesh to get up there. And now through the right, sweeping right up behind the bumper. Can Geesh try and make something happen? Where's the opportunity going to present itself? It's only a short braking zone into the final turn, and dready turn here. There's a few car lengths back, so I'm not sure Geesh is going to be able to do it. I was going to suggest turn 1 is a good place to try and go for a move, but just losing a couple of car lengths there through turn 19, and that just releases the pressure valve a little bit for Twitchy.
Is Twitchy. The Mercedes has gone in for their first pit stop with exactly 1 hour and 30 seconds to go. So that's amazing. Just the first car to blink was our race leader of the front 2. And so too is our Dusty gone in. So they're going to go for a bit of an undercut here. And on the now the new race leader, which is Geesh in the Aston Martin. Now we know that Geesh has, well, I'm pretty sure, I'll go out there, and I reckon these guys have saved a heck of a lot of fuel. So if fuel has been the reason for that Mercedes to come in there, Monkey Matt, then, for the Aston, how much of a gain has the last 28 laps been there, sitting behind this car, not having to be the first one to push through the wind?
Yeah, so the first pit stops, it is a little bit spicy. We're going to see how that plays out. They're obviously going to lose time at the moment. Whether they lose positions, track positions that, could impact it later. But you were talking just a moment ago about whether team orders play a role. And we're looking now at HC1 coming past HC3, and they are able to do it down the inside into turn 12. That moves them into the top 10 after starting in the pits, although it's not resolved. They've not just let them through here, so maybe it's not a team order call there. They're having to work for this position and now defend the position as well as Rafa tries to get back. And they're going to keep swapping back a little bit spicy on the exit. Too much of the curb, but they were able to just block the car behind, and they will hang on to the position. So that move is done. But shoot, they was definitely not made easy by their sister team car there.
The 7th and the 8th of February 2026, thanks to NZ Superstoch teams. And we're over an hour into this one, Monkey Matt. We've just about had everyone come in for their first stop. Interestingly, both the two Aston Martins still out there yet to stop, which I find very interesting, because Nismo in the 137 and geez, normally Nismo does this very similar strategy to Smitty in the 37 car. With in this case, Ika looks like he's doing a solo act. They've done a they've done a fuel stop, I should say. I'm worried whether or not Smitty's actually able to get back behind the wheel. Has he got a PlayStation issue, which may be why they started from the pit lane? But either way, normally the same strategy for 37 is what Nismo would do in 137, and that's not the case. So they're certainly going off their own little ideas and thoughts, and so too with Jeesh as we go another lap with the lead car number 5. This will be 34 laps completed for the BSR1 team. That is Herculean, considering there's only a few cars on the screen, and actually three cars on the screen yet to stop, and two of them are Aston Martins. Sorry, 4 cars, and 2 of them are Aston Martins. The other one is the Porsche with Mint Matt back in the number 1 car there, the defending champions, I've got to say, who soon will hand over the reins to Cy Bishop, and the BMW there with Mickey T in the TTR South car back in 8th place. So it's quite extraordinary that of that we've got 2 cars. It's the European specials that are doing the great job on their Petralis at the moment.
In terms of the top battle, I will say, there's a few cars getting closer on track, but I will say, Jeesh, they're going long. They're giving themselves options in terms of the strategy now, because they could, at the next stint, you can, of course, do a shorter stint. There's no problem with that. 80 minutes is just the absolute maximum. So in the next stop, they can choose to match what McEwen does in terms of when they stop, or they can choose to go long in stint 2 as well. So they're just giving themselves a few options by going long here in the first one.
He has to come in next lap. There's no doubt about it. If he goes over 80 minutes, it's not 80 minutes and then next lap. It's 80 minutes exactly. So he has no option but to come in this time. So if we want to stay on board with this one, that's more than fine, because we know, well, not so much we know, but we can guarantee, which means we know that the BSR1 car has to come in, and that's going to be very, very interesting to see how that plays out, because that would also go the same for the second place car, some distance back, Mint Matt and the Porsche, because they have to come in this time around and hand over, obviously, to Sidog, Simon Bishop. So we'll wait and see how that one's going to go.
And here we go. We've switched away from Jeesh, because here is Immortan Nick down the inside of Norm. Turn 12 seems to be the happy hunting ground, and he's done it cleanly, and he's made it look simple. There is TTR West up into 5th position in this race, driving strong on this stint, and Immortan Nick now behind the wheel and looking good in the BMW. I believe they are one of the teams that have chosen to switch away from the Ford here for the final round, switching to the BMW, and they've managed to master it at this stage, moving up into 5th in this race, and just managed to get past the McLaren on this lap.
One car, there is Jeesh, who will be climbing into the pits. He'll give his brow a bit of a wipe. He will go, Jeesh, that was a long drive, and has done an outstanding job. We also know that Mint Matt, who's about 30 odd seconds behind in the Porsche, will also come through.
A moment here for Water Arrow. I'm going to jump over you atop again, because we saw that pit stop, but Water Arrow's had a spin in the background. So both AGT cars running into trouble in this race. He's got it back going. That was through the S's. It's not, he's got it back going, and he's had another moment. Oh no, Water Arrow, what's happened there? It's come doubly unstuck. And can he get it going? Get it spun back around? Come on, mate, you're on stream. Do a good job of this. Oh, he doesn't light up the rears. He just slowly turns it around, gets back going, and that's a shame. Car number 7. So I like to support. That's my number as well. Number 7. I like to support them. And number 77, currently sitting in 7th, in fact. So there's good number 7 synergy going on. But unfortunately for Water Arrow, he's down in 17. yeah, we're going to be all go for a minute here because I'm excited that we can bring in Isaac Fogg. Well, I'm excited that we can talk to you, but the fact that you're in here is a sign that there was a problem, isn't there?
Yeah, look, I was hoping to get into the booth at some point today. Didn't think it was going to be as early as it is. Obviously, yeah, we've retired the 2-car, which is a shame. We were having issues. Like, we switched to the Lexus because I like the Lexus. I think it sounds really good. Was quite enjoying driving it earlier in the week, but I don't know what it's been today. It's just we've struggled a lot with understeer. We're on our 3rd drive-through just before the car retired, and I was telling Mike earlier, just before when I went to my first pit stop, I jumped up to go and grab a drink of water quickly, and as I jumped up, I've rolled my ankle, and so it's making it really hard to press on the brake pedal, and I don't have my teammate in the server to hand over the controls to, so I just sort of had to make the decision that I didn't have my teammate there, so I couldn't keep driving around, and I was trying to right foot brake, and in a supercar or something like that, it's pretty easy to right foot brake. In these things, a GT3 car, you sort of need 2 feet to make them rotate, especially in the Lexus. So we just had to make the decision that unfortunately we weren't going to continue on, which is a shame because I was having a lot of fun. But yeah, just a difficult day for us. But now I get to come and chat to you, lovely people.
You know the good news about that, you pulling out though, don't you though?
What's that?
The good news is that I move up into 19th place as the commentator on my Nissan Skyline, so I'm very appreciative of that. And Monkey Matt comes into the top 20 in his Audi, and I will say there's no other Audis on the track except Monkey Matt, who's now makes the top 20. So thanks, mate. We appreciate that.
That's all right. Just looking after you, boys.
I just want to ask you quickly, mate. Why did you guys actually swap to the Lexus? All jokes aside sorry about you rolled your ankle there, but why did you actually make the swap to the Lexus? What was the thought there?
Well, the Lexus is a car that I've wanted to drive for quite a while. I really like the sound of it. As we see, this is a lovely battle between Ikitosh and Chipperton at the moment. I thought he went for he has got in there, so I think that's Chipperton's just sort of let him go past. But yeah, I wanted to do it for a long time, and LFM, which is where we get our balance of power from, Low Fuel Motorsport, they've recently updated their balance of power sheet to include every single GT3 car in the game, which is amazing, which means that we finally get official balance of power regulations for the Lexus. So I sort of took the opportunity while I had it to, do the final round and do it in what is arguably probably one of my favorite cars in the game. It just sounds like the V8 just sounds so good in it. It's just a really nice car, but unfortunately I probably picked one of the most difficult circuits to drive this car at. If we'd had it at Spa last round, it would have been amazing because it's just got so much legs down the straight. But yeah, here it's a bit difficult because there's a lot of twisty turny bits. So the Lexus was pretty good. We were putting about 95 litres, and that would get us in and around an hour of racing, which we were going on the 3-stop strategy, which I think is what most people will try and do. The 2-stop can work, but you really have to nail your timings here because it's an 80-minute stint, and that's pretty much splitting up the race directly. That was a bit of a slide there from Dusty. I will say he is struggling in this stint as much as he is gaining time on Captain Muffin. He overpressured the tyres to account for the cloud cover we had at the end of stint 1, and as such the sun then came out and he was really struggling with the temperatures. The tyres were massively heated, so he's actually probably very grateful that the cloud covers come back to cool the track down a bit, because it'll actually bring his tyres back into the window that he wanted them in initially. So it's been a bit of an up and down stint for him, and he's been struggling, but I think he'll stop in about 7 minutes time. It's actually the biggest fuel tank out of all the GT3 cars, 135 litres you can put in this car, which is, pretty handy when you're trying to do a long stint. But I think he's been putting in about 95. Don't want to give too much of his strategy away, but he's been putting in similar amount of fuel to what I've been putting in, and he'll be going for the 3 stops. So we'll see him stop a couple more times in this race. I don't think he'll try and extend and go to the end at any point in the next sort of hour.
Yeah, you can see the cars a little bit, squirrely through the corners. You're certainly floating around. So you're right about the track temperature, which has just dropped a couple of degrees, and so too the ambient temperature down to 28. But what would it be if the rain was going to come on this one? How would that play out for you guys? Do you reckon a little bit of rain would work in Al Dusty's favour, or would that be something that they haven't really planned on?
I think he is hoping for the rain. He's actually quite quick in the rain. He reckons he's faster in the rain than he is in the dry, which says a lot considering he was front row in qualifying. So he's I think it's going to be a bit dangerous. We were also hoping in the Lexus for a bit of rain because the Lexus is quite strong in the rain, especially here. That's where it starts to come alive. In the dry, we sort of struggle, but the wet, we found in practice earlier this week, we had quite a lot of pace over quite like pretty much most other cars. So we could have made some ground back, but it wasn't to be with the rain. So I think if there's a bit of rain late in this race, keep a very close eye on him because he's got a very solid wet strategy in place to account for that. And I think if it does rain, this could be a threat for even potentially the race win. He's actually only 15, 16 seconds or so back off Matt McEwen, and he'll have a lot of pace if the wet does come.
Friday and Saturday, 7th and 8th of February in 2026. Thanks to NZ Superstoch teams for supporting the AUSNZ series, and of course also Lucas Oils in the background there who've helped to contribute towards this a fantastic event. Matt, we are under 2 hours to go, and we have the leader in the pits. What are we going to do on this one as the Mercedes-Benz comes in?
Yeah, so that is a clear, even split sort of strategy that we're seeing here from ANC Outplayed, leading the race with this even split strategy. And interesting that we did hear about the possibility of just that 2-stop, or whether it's just a two refuel stops and then one just sort of splash and dash situation. That's definitely something I'm going to be keeping an eye on now that we know just that could be possible. And, I wouldn't count it out for the likes of BSR1. We have talked a lot today about how they like to play the strategy games. They like to work out all these things ahead of time and know exactly what the optimal thing is going to be. Maybe go for something different to what the other teams are doing. So I definitely will be keeping an eye on whether BSR1 are thinking about something like that, thinking a little bit outside the box. What could happen that will really bring them back into this fight? Because at the moment, they're sitting in third. So at the moment, this would be the championship going the way of OP, Twitchy, and Matt McEwen. Because, they've just come to the pits, so they're not third on track, but effectively third in this race. And that is exactly what ANC Outplayed needs. And BSR1 needs another position to gain. So now really it becomes so much more high stakes. And hopefully for their sake, they've got something up their sleeve that can play out late in this race. And the Aston's going to continue to go long. We might see our Dusty come into the pits in the next few laps, but isn't this a special moment? Out there leading the race now in the AUSNZ PS5 Endurance Championship as a Pro-Am driver, and he is going to come into the pits, so it is just going to be 1 or 2 laps that he did manage to lead the race. But what a moment. A year after having that big car crash, 6 broken bones in his spine, so it was a major one. He was in critical condition, but the recovery path is all but complete now. He's slowly worked away at it. He's been diligent, getting his body back into healthy condition, and now getting his skills in the sim world back up to speed as well. He's competing at the top of his game, fighting for the race, and we're talking about whether he could be in contention to win the 4-hour race, doing it solo. It has been an inspiring journey, I have to say. Huge hats off to our Dusty out there as he is making his pit stop. So we'll see where he comes out relative to Twitchy, but how cool to follow that journey and see just how much this driver has been able to pull off through the series and through the various sim racing events that he's involved in. Yeah, and one of these drivers that's going really fast, I just want to bring this up. HC1, Smitty now has made it behind the wheel, so he has managed to jump in, get involved. That car's done its 2 pit stops and sitting in 10th position after coming out of pit lane, starting right at the back, having so much time to catch up. Incredible drive. They're now made their way up into 10th position. There's a couple of cars still yet to make their second stop ahead of them, so I wonder if they might even pick up another spot or 2 here. But that has just been a mega drive for the Aston Martin. We know how quick they can be. They're in contention for the Pro-Am title. They've proved themselves throughout the season as, we've got them on screen, and they've made a mistake over those sausage curbs. Just as I'm hyping them up, we talk about commentator curses. Just as I'm hyping them up, Smitty makes that mistake and loses one of the spots. He's dropped back outside the top 10.
Cars, the drivers that have been sitting there for a long time, it's easy to say, and it's hard to just climb in behind the wheel and get up there and get on speed. So he's made a little mistake. I'm sure he'll put that behind him. Eyes forward and ready to go. But the 37 car back to 11th place here Meantime, the 137 there of Nismo, he's got some work to do as well. In fact, that's Dub True behind the wheel. So the first of them, but the second of them, that's the Hooncorp two-tar. So the HC1, he's right at the back end of the McLaren. As you can see, he's having a bit of a go down the not quite the Mulsanne straight, but it's a fairly decent straight here at Cote. It must be the better part of a kilometre or maybe a bit more long here. And the last of the late breakers into that left-hander is Smitty. Doesn't overdo it, picks the apex nicely, and just says to that McLaren, "You got me good, son. I made a mistake. I'm looking for you to do the same. I wouldn't mind the favour being returned." And not too far behind him, he's got, it looks like...
Sorry, that was the McLaren getting out of shape. So just as you were saying that, the McLaren has a moment, but no room for a pass just yet.
No, that's right. And I was just going to jump back and look at the skyline there behind them. In fact, Furbuzz in the R35, and he was sitting there, Mr. Opportunist. Well, let's not forget these guys too in the 67 car are actually in 12th place. So they've done an outstanding job and only a second off the 137. And good battle this one between Smitty and Jimothy Payload. So we saw Jimothy come through and make some passes earlier on. And a very, very esteemed driver there in the mighty old McLaren. And I'm actually quite surprised, Monkey Matt. We're well into, 2 hour mark now. We're an hour 50 less to go. And we haven't seen that many pit stops. We've still got the top two cars there. And we've still got a couple more to come through and actually finish them all.
Contact! Oh, no. And into the side, the rear quarter. HC1, Hooncorp gets in the side of Jimothy Payload. And I just had to really back out of it to make sure he didn't end up spinning the McLaren. And that's ended up costing them a position instead. So really, since I said they were going well, it has kind of come unstuck a little bit. And now they've got two cars in front of them that they're going to have to try and overtake again. Is there a little bit of a mistake from the McLaren? Is this going to be Hooncorp 1's opportunity to get back into the top 10? Get that spot that they had before making the mistakes. It's not going to be on the exit there. Is he close enough down in turn 12? Keep an eye on this one. Tucked into the slipstream. Shows the nose down the inside. Is it going to be late on the brakes? It is late on the brakes. Aggressive down the inside from the Aston Martin driver and gets the move done. Oh, but there's a cross back from the McLaren. They bang doors on corner exit. Is he going to be able to cross back? Oh, they bang doors even bigger this time around. Are they going to be able to get through the corner? They do manage to resolve it, sort it out. Jimothy Payload does not want to give up that position. And crikey, they almost had both cars spun around there. They've gotten out the exit, but they would have lost a lot of time and potentially have just a little bit of damage because that second hit was reasonably significant. And this is what we've come to expect in the AUSNZ PS5 Endurance Series. The battle is going on. We're 2 hours 20 into this race, but it is fierce out there. Look at Smitty trying to find a way through. Has he got the inside line there? Through the S's. Oh my gosh, they're really going to go for it. Trying to cross back if he can. It's all go here in the middle of the circuit. Here at Circuit of the Americas. And what a series to be amongst. If you love motorsport, if you love this sort of racing, come and join in AUSNZ PS5 Endurance Series. Look up Hooncorp Esports on Facebook and other social media places. You'll find them. You'll find the link to the Discord to come join in. Yeah, this is Psydog. So this is BCG1 who haven't taken the second pit stop. So Twitchy's managed to gain back a pit stop on this team. And now it means that they are actually head-to-head. There's no blue flags between these two drivers. They can battle this out. And this might be a little bit of a question. Where does BCG's alliance lie in terms of the championship fight? Is he going to fight this one really hard? Or is he going to make this reasonably easy? It is just a straight fight. He's well within his rights to defend now and to be aggressive. But it seems, Twitchy's just straight away sent it down the inside, made the mood happen, and or maybe goes a little bit wide on exit, but just knew they wanted to get through, didn't want to get held up. And I think Psydog didn't make it too hard for them.
Some clouds have rolled in and the track temperature down 1 degree, so that shouldn't really hurt the cars too much. But also want to do a shout out to Tracksport TV, who's obviously been bringing this broadcast to us, and a great job there from George and the crew. And of course they rent us out to you at a couple of peanuts a minute, which is fantastic. So thanks to Tracksport TV, and thanks to George. And of course, if you want to get involved with race commentary or sim race commentary or broadcasting, then Tracksport TV is the place to get in touch with, and George and the crew, and you end up aligning yourselves and getting some good knowledge and some information, good commentators such as Matt Smith, Monkey Matt, who is doing the job here today. And certainly if you've got a passion for motor racing or a passion for sim racing, get in touch with Tracksport.tv and George and the crew, who will bring some information and possibly some opportunities there for you, especially some education and broadcasting. Should that go any further, then all power to you. Around goes Psydog. Oh my goodness me. Took a aisle off the moment there, I think, unfortunately for the Porsche. And just out of the corner of my eye, I saw the BCG1 car going around and just shouting out to Tracksport TV. And I don't think Psydog's going to like George after that one. So apologies there for George and apologies for Psydog.
So they'll have to make a decision. But I think coming in, 1 hour 21 left to go. I think that confirms they are going to have to make another pit stop. We do see Simon come into the pits as well. And it is going to be a driver change. I believe that's what happened there in BSR1. We'll get confirmation when they've crossed the first sector timers, but now we're just keeping a little bit of an eye on how the gap opens up between them and Twitchy. Twitchy's a long way up the road. He's half the lap up the road, so that is a huge gap. Where is Al Dusty? He's also come out ahead, so Al Dusty now second on the track, BSR1 in third position, and actually there's a big gap for them to make up, so really I don't think they're going to be able to claw that back on track. They're just going to have to go for a short second stop. Is it going to be enough? And I think we're going to be left waiting a little bit longer to resolve that one. We got Nathan in the chat. He said, this has gone by so quickly, but it's not over yet. And I think we can put an exclamation mark on that. It is not over yet. The questions around the strategy are still yet to be resolved. You talked about Hooncorp 2 also on a similar strategy. They've come into the pits and they've come out in 8th position. This has been a huge drive from this team in the amateur class. They want to take the title and they're doing everything they need to do so far to be up there in 8th. What a drive from those guys with their rivals down in 14th position. Oh man, it is we're starting to get to the point again though where you're kind of making that trade-off between whether you want to go flying around the circuit or whether you need to try and keep an eye on the track limit violations. Just got confirmation from Psydog. He's in the chat and let us know that he has been on 3, or his team, his car, has been on 3 track limit violations for the last hour and a half. So they've been sweating bullets, trying to not make any more mistakes. Similar story there for Hooncorp 2. I think we've got a few of these cars now. Now that we're so deep into this race, really starting to stress it as Hooncorp 1 does manage to get the move done, but it's not resolved. Look at them defending down the inside. Is there going to be a big enough gap to try and get down there? They throw it in. The McLaren goes deep on the inside. Room given from Smitty. They might get the move, but they're on the exit. It's compromised. Back side by side now into the S's. Are they going to be able to keep this going? Oh, they might just bang doors as they come through and just about get it sorted out. It's not resolved though. They need to try and get through here as tidy as possible. Both these cars starting to slide. This is a big battle that we've seen go on and on. They've got history, of course, making contact earlier in the race. So both these cars will be desperate to pull ahead. I'm sure each one will be blaming the other for the earlier incident because this is a race on our hands and it could be a little bit of drama here because they've got to be laps now from, I believe it's going to be, yes it is, Matthew McEwen behind the wheel. But they're not going to want to give up time. So the blue flags are flying, but they don't want to give up time because they're in their own battle here. Side by side through the exit, it's tight and twisty through the long right-hander. Is there any advantage there? McLaren looks like it's got more pace on the fresh tires, but hasn't been able to find a way through yet. Here comes the Mercedes. Can Matt, is he going to be aggressive to try and go for this move, or is he going to leave space out wide for the Ferrari? There's the mistake. Matt's through, he sends it in the final corner. Goes aggressive and comes through clean. That was bold from our, well, what is effectively the race leader. He's third on track at the moment after having made his pit stop.
And that's not over yet by any stretch of the imagination. Here comes Naked Blade, our benefactor there, the man who's actually put up $200 for the race win. He's just moved up 2 spots in the case of 1 lap. So the skyline is absolutely on fire. He's done a great job in that one. He's moved himself up. I think that's 11th place there, as well as having to be lapped by the like you say, effectively the race leader, currently second at the moment, the 726, with Matt McEwen back behind the wheel of the mighty Mercedes-Benz. So Naked Blade, he's a pretty casual sounding guy like myself in their 50s, and I want to see him doing it for this, well, I won't say geriatrics, but not young guys. So good on him there. Get out there, Naked. Give it, keep your clothes on, but certainly get your pace down, and he's doing a cracking job. And right behind them, the battle is raging with Speedy Tyres and Stone Harbour. They are having an awesome scrap between them. Speedy Tyres and the McLaren, Stone Harbour and the Ferrari, who's just made the pass for position. up to 12th place. That means that the McLaren moves back to 13th place, and meantime Naked moves up to 11th. And it's just still he's keeping it together at the moment, the BCG5 car. So he's got a big drive to live up to though. Timothy Palo was grabbed that thing by the scruff of the neck, was absolutely throwing it around, and it was great when he was up against the Aston Martin as well. But that Ferrari of Stone Harbour in the PRT1 car, you know, this is 13th and 14th place. I mean, it's just, sorry, 12th and 13th place. It's just fantastic. And now we see them down the long line. I call it the Mulsanne Straight. I know it's not the Mulsanne Straight. Apologies to the purists, but, you know, it's a massive straight here at Kota. And now with this left-hander coming up, you've got to be the last of the late breakers. But, gee, track limits, you just can't have them go, pardon me, you can't have them, you know, fall into, and make you go too far into this. You've got to really watch your mirrors, but you've got to keep it inside those very strict lines as Speedy Tyres. I think Speedy Tyres have had too much speed in them just quietly, because it looks like he hasn't got that much rear end grip. And with 35 minutes to go, we know these guys are fueled to the end, Monkey Matt. They wouldn't want to be coming in to change tyres now, so he's got to look after them, doesn't he?
That really would be a big swing, wouldn't it? If anyone ends up off track in the last 11 and a half minutes that we've got, that could decide the race, and that could in fact decide the championship. We've been to the 6 hours of Bathurst. We saw ANC outplayed, take the win there. Then in March, we had the Indianapolis 4 hours. Again, ANC outplayed. They went back to back with race wins. We moved on to June with the 4 hours, of the Circuit Paul Ricard. That's when BSR won and came back into it. They got the race win for round 3. Before we headed to, in July, Silverstone, 6 hours around that track. That was the wet conditions played a role. That was really, we saw the strength there of the Aston Martin, of BSR1, to get themselves 2 wins back to back. Then round 5 in August, Kyle Lamy, 4 hours at that track. The BSR team did the unbelievable 3 race wins in a row before we headed into the penultimate round in November. Spa-Francorchamps, another 6-hour race, and ANC outplayed, got one back. That late strategy drama saw them pick up the race win over BSR to have 3 race wins each between these teams. We're now here at round 7, 4 hours of Kota. We're 3 hours and 50 minutes in. There's only 10 minutes left in this season's championship, and we're still not sure who is going to take home the crown, who is going to lift the trophy. They're going to be new champions. Neither of these teams have won a past season, but one of them today will stand on that podium, stand on the top step, and take home the championship title.
Oh, hang on.
There we go.
Pitting? They are pitting.
So we don't need to answer that question.
It's
Jeesh has saved my skin because I wasn't going to be able to answer that. So
good answer, mate. Jeesh has heard you. He's responded, and now we go and watch. Let's jump on board the 726 car. We know where the race leader is at the moment, and the Mercedes-Benz in the meantime is going through the triple right-hander. This is a very, very serious piece, and I don't know, actually, you keep on that one, I'll just see it. And in fact, Jeesh is just driving through. It's literally a drive-through. There was no stop, no go, no nothing, just a drive-through. So has come into the pits and been released.
Wow, so this looks like a practiced move. They must have worked out what they can get away with. That is really interesting. Have they come back out ahead? Have they come back out ahead? Incredibly, they have. So we talked about that 20-second time. Just by driving through, they've come out in the lead of this race, and that might be the strategy masterclass. The point that we might have missed, we believed that they had to stop and perhaps even get out of the car, but just reset the timer. Does the timer stop while you drive through pit lane? Do they only need 20 more seconds on the timer and they can just drive through pit lane once? This is incredible. Into the final couple of corners now. They're set to win the finale here at Kota. They're set to win the whole championship. A year's worth of effort came down to today's race, and they have stood up and responded, crossing the line to win. It's BSR1 who are your champions in the AUSNZ PS5 Endurance Championship, and it was the strategy that allowed them to do it. Absolutely special. Take a bow, that team. They put the work in. They knew what they could do. They knew what they needed to do, and they pulled it off at the end of that race. Some celebratory donuts in due at Big Red. at the top of the hill as they finish ahead of ANC Outplayed in second place. We've also got Defy Motorsport now coming through the final sector to pick up another podium. A mega drive here in the Nissan. Our Dusty, take a bow. Did it all himself. The 4-hour race. And what a special result that is as well. But that's all we have time for here today. Thanks for tuning in. On behalf of Tracksport.tv, I've been Matt Smith, aka Monkey Matt, joined today by Mike Howe from Hooncorp Esports. Special thanks to NZ Superstoch's teams champs, helping make the whole show happen this weekend. I'm sure we'll be back next year for a new season of AUSNZ PS5 Endurance Series, but until then, that has been us for 2025. Everyone, get yourself some racing in ya and stay awesome. We'll see you next year.